My journey to opera starts when I'm about 14 years old, starting at LaGuardia High School of the Arts in New York City. I had no classical music in my family. There was a lot of rock and roll and jazz played in the house. And when I showed up at LaGuardia High School, it happened to be the week that Pavarotti passed away. And so someone said, Pavarotti passed away. And I said, who is that? And they sent me a link to a YouTube video of Nessun Dorma, and I became entranced with the primal nature of the human voice, unamplified, carrying over an orchestra like the cry of 1,000 generations. The first opera I ever saw happened to be the Julie Taymor production of The Magic Flute at the Metropolitan Opera. It didn't have a profound effect on me. But then I went back when I was in high school and I saw Le Contori, and it was with Joyce DiDonato and Juan Diego Flores and Tiana Damrau, and it was just so stunning, the vocalism, but also the dramatic, the theater. I became completely obsessed with this amalgamation of music and drama coming alive through these masterworks. My favorite opera premiered in this very theater. It's Pelléas et Mélisande by Debussy. I sang in the house for the first time today in my life, and there's something about this place that history is reverberating off of these walls. You can feel it. My repertoire ranges quite extremely from the old to the new, and I've noticed that the theme throughout is just great drama and a need for a singer who understands text and understands theater. I like to think that I'm one of the more diverse singers working right now. I like it this way. I think that I'm finding a niche in the French language. It brings out something unique in my voice, but I sing everything from, Baroque to I sing a lot of lieder, and then of course I want to be part of the creation of new works. My love for contemporary music comes from the idea that we're creating theater pieces. This is a place where, great works of music, theater were created, and I want to be part of pushing the art form forward in that direction because I think that that's what audiences gravitate to, is a great night of storytelling. So a couple years ago, I relocated to Germany. The reasons for doing so had a lot to do with where the arts in the States were at after COVID. But even before COVID, I find that audiences here are much more prepared to watch and participate in supporting riskier productions, riskier titles. And I find that in the States, we are constantly begging audiences to come. I wish it weren't so. But the lifestyle also for artists here is much different, and I find that when I tell people what I do, there's an understanding, whereas in the States, they think I'm part of the circus or something. It's been necessary for me to come here and be part of the forefront of where we are pushing the art form and taking risks. And I hope to be able to bring that back to the States in some way, bring that ethos to companies I love working for in the States. I still work in the States quite a bit, but I'm disappointed at the fear that the companies have to not take risks for their audience. And I'm really honored to be part of a tradition here of challenging audiences and also to be part of the center of where the art form originated. Well, as you know, the Opéra Comique is synonymous with Louis Langret, and when I met him, I could tell that this was a place that was concerning itself with great music theater, and also going to great lengths to make sure that the people and the projects were selected with intention, that the right people were assigned to the right roles, and that we are doing this for a reason. There's such intention behind the programming here. We're doing this piece with this director for a reason, and that's a very, very special thing. It's a very unique thing. It's actually I don't know why it's so rare, but it really is. And I'm so inspired by the intentionality behind the art that gets made at the Opéra Comique. So we have two conductors conducting this production. And they are very similar in their approach in certain ways and very different in others. And I think what's good about having two people conducting is that it keeps us very flexible and it keeps us listening. And so we are gonna have one thing on one night and a different thing on another, and we're gonna have to stay reactive, and there's not gonna be any type of autopilot that we let ourselves fall into. This is my role debut as Oreste in Iphigénie en Tauride, but this is a piece that's been on my radar since I was a student at Juilliard. I picked up this aria, this Dieu qui me poursuivait, this declamation to the gods, when I was quite young, and I used it to audition for some really important opportunities when I was early on in my career. It was the first thing I sang on the Metropolitan Opera stage in the competition, and then it was the first thing that Placido Domingo heard me in when I was auditioning for the program, the studio in Los Angeles. This is a role that he had sung, and so he had a special understanding for an artist that would want to pick up this aria. It's not such a common thing for a young singer to go looking for. And so when I found out that this production was happening, it felt so right because I felt ready for it. I'm glad that I didn't do the whole role when I was quite young. I'm 32 now, so I'm not quite an old man, but it's the right time to be putting this up on its feet. Louis and Wajdi are really getting me, they're preparing this role with me in a way that's gonna be sustainable for the entire time I sing this role. Wherever I take it, I'm gonna have this production with me. And that's a very lucky thing too. We don't pick who we do role debuts with sometimes, and these are ideal circumstances. So I feel really lucky that that's the case. Iphigénie en Tauride is a really, really interesting opera, and Oreste is a really interesting character because this is a really critical part of the mythology. This character comes into the piece with such heavy baggage, and I've never encountered a character quite like this. I'm always playing the friend, or I'm playing Papageno, or I'm playing Figaro or the Count, and this is much lower stakes, finding love or helping the tenor find love. This is way, way more dramatic. He's just killed his mother, who killed his father. Him and his sister have avenged their father's death, and now he is left with the guilt and the Furies chasing him across the ocean. It's a very special thing to get to approach a character like this and explore the psychology therein.